How we doing, guys? Welcome to the preview and the predicted lineup. Arsenal against West Ham. We are back. So, of course, this is the preview and the predicted lineup. Arsenal against West Ham. And it is so good to be back. Don't get me wrong, the World Cup was really good. Some unbelievable matches, some memorable moments, but you cannot beat the Premier League. Oh, no, you cannot. It's as simple as that. You look at the Liverpool-Manchester City game in the Carabao Cup. That wasn't even the Premier League, but that just shows you why we love club football. The pace, the power, the intensity, the drama. And like I said, that was the Carabao Cup. That wasn't even the Premier League. We're getting to that business part of the season now. This is where titles are won. And, I'm excited about it. I can't wait. And, Arsenal are sitting there top of the Premier League, 5 points clear. Now, I don't want to get too ahead of myself. I don't want to sit there and say that we're going to win the Premier League. But we're going to win the Premier League. Now, listen, don't clip that. Listen, what it is, right? If you would have said to any Arsenal fan before the start of the season that we would be sitting where we are now, coming back from the World Cup and everything else, 5 points clear. 5 points clear from Manchester City. And the likes of Liverpool, Chelsea, etc. would be miles behind that. You'd sit there and be like, we've been smoking. Seriously. Come on. It's not going to happen. When you look at how we capitulated towards the end of last season and everything that went on and whatnot, and you're just thinking, nah, that's not going to happen. And we've been absolutely fantastic. And we need to carry on that momentum. We need to carry on the form that we left before the World Cup. And, this West Ham game, it's going to be a difficult game. It's going to be one of those where you're not really too sure. There is, of course, the situation of coming back from the World Cup that we do need to see how everybody responds. But these London derbies, they're always a bit tricky to call sometimes. Now, on paper, you look at West Ham, they've been absolutely horrendous this season. They've only won 4 games all season. They've lost 9 games. They're sitting 16th in the Premier League. And they're there for a reason. Because if you even speak to West Ham fans, they will tell you they have been awful. So when you look at it on paper, you sit there and you go, easy 3 points all day long. But it's not going to be like that. There's never an easy 3 points in the Premier League. West Ham have players that can cause problems. They have players that can win them games. And we need to be cautious about that. We cannot come back into this period of, the matches after the World Cup and be flat-footed and be slow out of the blocks. We need to come 100 miles an hour, just like we finished. And we need to go and get those 3 points. And I'm looking at it in this game by game. And I don't want to get too ahead of myself. But I look at the next 2 and I sit there and think, right, after that, we've got Newcastle and Spurs. Newcastle, absolutely flying. 3rd in the Premier League, had a fantastic season. Joint best defensive record in the Premier League along with Arsenal. And that is not going to be an easy game in any way, shape or form. And then you've got Spurs. Form goes out of the window with the North London derby. And if it was at the Emirates, I'd confidently, sit here right now and say 3 points all day long. Because I think Spurs have only ever beaten us once in the Premier League in nearly 20 years since we've moved to the Emirates. So that's where that confidence comes from. But it's at their place. And we know what normally happens there. So the whole mindset would be very interesting to see how we deal, with those kind of games now. Because we look completely different this season. But of course, we do have a big injury in Gabriel Jesus. And him missing is going to be key. And a lot of people have been sitting there and saying, he doesn't really score goals. So what are you missing? And that's, a comment from somebody that obviously don't watch football, that don't understand what Gabriel Jesus brings to the rest of the team. I do think that we will still score goals. I do think that we will still, cause a lot of problems because we're scoring goals in other areas. The likes of Bukayo Saka, the likes of, Martinelli, Odegaard, Granit Xhaka, Thomas Partey, even Reece Nelson, before he picked up his latest injury, he was starting to show a bit of form. He was starting to show a little bit of consistency, scoring goals, getting assists, being involved. So that's a shame that he's going to be missing as well. But I look at the players that are available and I think, you know what, that's a very strong lineup. And I'll go through my predicted lineup in a moment. And I look at that and I think, yeah, that's way strong. You know, we should be beating West Ham all day long. Absolutely no issues at all. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Take it game by game. Let's get the 3 points, because we already know if we don't beat West Ham, we drop points and all of a sudden there's meltdowns. And everybody starts absolutely jumping on the club. Everyone starts jumping on the players. Everybody starts saying that here we go. Arsenal's meltdown has begun. And that is from our own fan base. That's not even from the outside. That's from within. So you imagine, we don't beat West Ham and that's it. The world has ended. Don't get me started. But listen, I do think we'll get the 3 points. I do think we'll have enough to beat West Ham. But again, we need to be cautious because they are a dangerous side, despite their form and everything else. So it'll be a very, very interesting game. So with that said, let's go and get into my predicted lineup. Starting off in goal, Aaron Ramsdale. Now, I've seen a lot of talk this week about Martinez and whether we should have actually got rid of him. Best thing we did was get rid of him. I am very happy with Aaron Ramsdale. I wasn't when there was talk about Aaron Ramsdale, but he's proved me wrong massively. And I can hold my hands up and say he has proved me wrong. And I would have Aaron Ramsdale over Martinez all day long. Martinez, great penalty saver in shootouts. Yes, well done. But there's not penalty shootouts in the Premier League, is there? No. Thank you very much, Aaron Ramsdale. In the defence, right back, Ben White. And there's been a lot of talk about as to why he left the England camp. Was it to do with personal reasons at home, or was it to do with a fallout with the backroom staff at England? To be quite honest with you, I don't care. And neither should any of you. It's their business. Let them get on with it. It's nothing to do with us. What I care about is what Ben White does when he plays for Arsenal. And he's been absolutely superb this season. So long may it continue. In the centre defence, Gabriel didn't go to the World Cup, as we know. And yeah, it's a pretty straightforward one for me. He's been brilliant this season. Alongside him, William Saliba. Now, there will be some question marks over his inclusion because he's only just come back into training from the World Cup. But look, he wasn't playing in the World Cup, was he? Wasn't playing in the World Cup final or anything else. He's effectively been out, you know, in Qatar doing warm weather training for the last month. Absolutely no issues as to why he should be starting this game. Simple as that. Left back position. Now, this is where there will be some debates and question marks. Zinchenko, is he actually fit? We don't know. So I'm going to go with Tierney. I think that Tierney's really starting to evolve of late, and I'm starting to look at his game, and he's trying to play that inverted role that Mikel Arteta obviously likes his fullbacks to do. And Tierney's been really good. And I was watching him in the games in Dubai, and he's looking sharp. So, you know, if Zinchenko's not 100% fit, don't risk it. Put Tierney in there. Very, very able deputy. And, yeah, no problem, you know, with that selection for me. In the centre midfield, Thomas Partey. Pretty straightforward, this one. He is key to the way that we play. And he is absolutely immense in there. Alongside him, Granit Xhaka. And I think that... it was very interesting to watch the interview with Mikel Arteta this week, and he was talking about Granit Xhaka, and he was saying how, you know, at the end of the last season, he was saying that, you know, going into this season, he wants him to be different. He wants to change his way of thinking and the way that he plays and be more forward thinking and goal scoring and assists and everything else. And Granit Xhaka went away, took it upon himself to, you know, come back fitter than he ever has done. And it's showing. It's as simple as that. The proof is in the pudding and the way that they perform. And Granit Xhaka has been excellent. And it's as simple as that. So he goes in there. Out on the right-hand side, Saka. I don't have any issues with this. He played a behind closed doors game a few days ago against Luton. Ironically, yeah, loads of my mates that are Luton fans have been trying to wind me up about that because the game was 0-0. But listen, it was a game at London Colney where it was just about getting minutes in the legs for the players at the end of the day. Players like Saka. He's introduced himself now on the world stage. Everyone knows about him. He gets so much unfair criticism. That's one thing that I have noticed, and even from our fan base, but from outside, most definitely, there's this big, massive, you know, ton of criticism towards him, and I don't understand why. He's quality. He's an unreal player. And like I said, he's announced himself on the world stage now. Big game player. Big game. And he goes in there for me. In the middle, Martin Odegaard, and a player that's obviously, you know, not been to the World Cup because he plays for Norway. And he's kind of just been sitting there and, you know, preparing himself. And I'll tell you something that I did notice in some of the pictures. He looks like he's bulked up a little bit. I don't know whether that's something he's worked on during the period that he's had away. But yeah, Martin Odegaard, he's been brilliant this season. He's the captain of the side, and pretty straightforward decision for me. On the left-hand side, Gabriel Martinelli, and I know there will be people saying, should he play central? And I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, we don't really have any numbers in the wide areas to, you know, cover him if he does go up front. Reece Nelson, like I said, is injured now. Of course, Pepe went out on loan. And I don't think, you know, we haven't really got the numbers. We ain't got the strength in depth there. I think in January, if we strengthen in those wide areas, then Martinelli moving more central can be an option. But right now, no, it's not going to be an option, in my opinion. So that's what I think we're going to go with. Up front, main striker, nketiah. And I know people are going to sit there and go, he's not good enough. Don't play him. Don't play him. Listen, he's going to play. It's as simple as that, and we need to show him some love, and we need to give him a bit of support. One thing I look at when I see Eddie right now is his body language. His shoulders look really down. He looks like the weight of the world is on him. He's not playing with a smile on his face. So, you know, maybe a bit of love, maybe a few goals, maybe something to go right for him will be exactly what he needs, because right now we do need him. Let's remember that. You can sit there and talk about strikers and anything else. The January transfer window is not even open. So what are we even discussing? And like I said, you can't play Martinelli centrally because we haven't really got the players that can play in those wide areas and stuff. So I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, at the moment, Eddie Nketiah will play. And whilst he's playing, we need to back him. This is not about whether he's good enough for the team or what we need. This is about individual games. And if he's playing, you need to back him. And it's as simple as that. It's not worth sitting there moaning about it. He's not good enough for the team. Listen, he might not be the answer, but he's going to play. And when he plays, you got to support him. It's as simple as that. So there we go. That is it for the preview and the predicted lineup. As usual, let me know in the comment section whether you agree or disagree with any of my selections. If you do disagree, what personnel would you change? It's a big game. Big game, and an opportunity to pick up those 3 points. Be interesting to see how the rest of the teams in the Premier League do as well after the World Cup. But what we can't do is start with a negative performance and not pick up those 3 points, because it'd be all doom and gloom, and that's just our fan base alone. But listen, there's going to be so much content now. Arsenal are back. There's going to be watch-alongs. There's going to be player ratings. And then I'm going to be doing my reviews of games. I get a lot of people that sit there and say they miss what I have to say on Arsenal's performances straight after. Well, you don't need to miss those, thoughts anymore, because you can get them right here on my channel. All you got to do is subscribe. It's very, very simple. So listen, let's go and see what happens. Let's try and get those 3 points. And we can continue doing what we've been doing. If you're new around here, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you smash a like on this video. And I will see you lot soon. I'm out of here.